Hi, welcome to Rose Theory Series. My name is Jennifer Rose and I am a spirituality coach. I have two things going on right now on YouTube. One is my 10-week Transform You program, which I am so proud to say that last week is next week, which is peace. We're going on a peace trip. So I hope if you are watching the Rose Theory Series that you go ahead and check out my peace week. That being said, if you're doing the 10-week Transform You and you're just here to heal yourself, this may or may not be for you. Rose Theory Series is all about self-discovery in the respects of asking yourself universal questions, spirituality itself. Maybe there's questions that you haven't even thought to ask that I am trying to ask myself and giving you the answers. So if you're looking to heal your mind, the 10-week Transform You is for you. If you're looking to ask yourself questions, then this is the right series for you as well. And you might be ready for both. So you are the only one that can determine that. But I did want to state, beforehand, they are two separate things: transformation and discovery. And with the Rose Theory series that I do emphasize, these are theories. This is me that had a spiritual experience in 2023. And from that experience, I threw everything I thought I knew out of the window. And I started to study and research and meditate and pray and get these answers that I'm giving to you. And I will always let my people know if a truth evolved, if there's some new knowledge that I came to know that might be different than what I've stated before. I definitely recommend to go back and watch the other videos. It's almost like you see a book unfolding, and instead of writing the pages, I am doing videos. Today's topic is a spiritual awakening. And I wanted to show you visually and with my words what a spiritual awakening feels like. And you might be you don't even know what a spiritual awakening really is. You might be in the midst of a spiritual awakening, or you might have gotten to the other end and want to hear my own story of my transformational spiritual awakening. There is two things that I would like to do in this video. One is share what does a beginning of a spiritual awakening look like, what is the middle look like, and what does the end look like. And then at the end, how can you, in whatever step of the process you are, go and have some help during this time. So let's start with, what does a beginning a spiritual awakening even mean? Well, we have to start at, we're all covered up. When we come into this world, we are pure spirit. Everything within us is all light, which the first video that I did is what a spirit or a soul is. So we're this light. And then all of a sudden, when we can start comprehending words and we can start comprehending people's body languages, all of a sudden we are starting to get a little bit of this programming. And through this programming, all of a sudden, fear, shame, guilt, worry, self-mechanisms, they said the lizard brain in survival mode, makes us cover ourselves up, makes us not see the world as it is. This is what the beginning of a spiritual awakening looks like. It's like all of a sudden you are wearing glasses. And, if I go into a dark room with these glasses on, I can't see everything quite clearly. Well, a spiritual awakening, whatever that is that happened to you, that brought you to this video, something is sparking within you to say, hey, I'm here. Your spirit is talking and it wants to come out. And now you're finding a way to do that. So we take off the glasses. And if you're watching my videos, my Transform You program for truth last week, that's all the lies. We have to take off slowly with spiritual awakening and move in to the observational, I would say, spiritual awakening. It is the middle. It is the trenches of when you start to spiritually awaken, when that spirit within you is starting to be expressed. All of a sudden you start to get more exposed. All of your scars are now starting to come to fold. You're like, this is what this is. This is what this is. And now you don't have your cover-ups. Now you don't have your lies. Now with a spiritual awakening, it's like the doors have opened to see your life as it is. And then it's like going across the bridge. This is you just starting out, maybe a spark. Maybe you too had a spiritual experience. Maybe you had something within you just spark the curiosity and self-discovery to figure out what spirit really means. Where do I come from? Asking the questions, and you got up to the bridge and now you're slowly starting to go over it. That's what this looks like. And then we take this off. So we're taking our jacket off and we're seeing more and more, because if you notice, this is gray. And what is gray? Oh, well, it was God's problem because he hates me. It was because my sister wasn't nice to me. It was because I had a rough childhood. All that stuff happened to you. And no one can say that it didn't happen to you. No one can say you don't have these scars. But we can do something with them. We can make them grow. We can work with it, and that's what a spiritual awakening is. You have to start to see things in black and white. Yes, this is the truth. No, this is not the truth. You have to start living in the world, this real world that's awakening for you, in black and white. I use this in my What is the Spirit or Soul, is like we took off this mantle, we took off the jacket, we took off the hat, and now you're getting to the core of your training. You are starting to open up each of these things, and you got to go one at a time. You cannot skip stages. You have to go through each and every one. And these are difficult. A spiritual awakening is not easy. I saw one meme about Chris Farley. I can't remember which movie it was. And he was rolling down the hill and he's like, oh, I'm done. And then he gets kicked back down, and it happens like 3 or 4 times till he gets to the bottom. And he looks so disheveled. He's like, I think I'm finally done. Because that's what spiritual awakening is. You think you've gotten somewhere, and the universe says, nope, you still got more to go. And that's what these are. These are these layers that you have to go through to eventually to get to your soul and your spirit. And it doesn't mean that these scars that you have still don't come up during a spiritual awakening, because you are seeing black and white, but they're starting to have less and less effect on you. So that way you are making something grow. You are making something move beyond your life. And that is what moving with the spirit does. You go from this human conscious, this cover-ups, this hiding behind what you would consider a mask. This is what everybody likes. You're taking that off. You're seeing yourself as is. You're seeing yourself as a beautiful and powerful spirit. And now it's there for you to see. So now you're starting to see in color. You're starting to see that you not only can see in color, but you are starting to develop your own sense of who you are. Who are you? What do you like? What do you not like? You are no longer hiding behind a mask. You are comfortable. You are proud. You are letting your hair down. You are unapologetically, and this is the transformational spiritual awakening. You are finally free of everything that is stopping from making you, you. You are now that beautiful butterfly. And what does a butterfly have to do? It starts off as a caterpillar, right? It has its walls, it has its hard surfaces. It has to go through all of this with some faith, with choosing to be happy, that you start to build your house again. But this house is the one that now you're building. And because it starts off like this, you know, when you spiritually awaken, it feels like your house is upside down. Like you don't even know what is and what is not. But then slowly, as you start doing the work, as you start to go through it, as like Chris Farley got to the bottom of the hill and he looked disheveled, you put your house to right. But this is a house that you can be proud of because you built it. You decided, you know what? I am just going to be me. I am just going to be myself each and every day. I am going to grow my garden. I'm going to accept all of my scars. And that is what faith is. It is holding this with pride. It is holding that you now have so many colors. And the colors I represent to me is my gratitude practice. It's the blessings, because when I had my 2023 spiritual experience, this is what it felt like. It felt like going from inside, all covered up. Thanks for being patient. This is what it felt like. I was all covered up. And then God went, okay. And I didn't get no transitional period. I just got this and this at the same time. It was definitely not recommended for anybody to do. And I had to see all the broken shells of my life. I still had to go through and see that my house looked like this solid mess because I wasn't taking care of myself. I was covering myself up from everything that I went to. I feel like I turned into dust. But now I have, and this is what you can do for your spiritual awakening. You too can go through this process and have some help and some support. I came out of my spiritual experience and I had two things to give to the world. One is that we are here on earth to heal ourselves, and the other is the 7 levels of being human, which is on my website, jenniferrose.biz. It's also on YouTube, but I made my website very user-friendly so you can get directly to what you're looking for. But then when I did the 7 levels and I got done with that and I just found my spirit and I was so happy, I went back to the drawing board and I said, but the people that are at the beginning stages of a spiritual awakening, you know, they didn't have everything ripped out of them. They still have to go through all these layers, you know, to get there. So that's why I came up with the 10-week Transform You program, because we have to heal in here. That black and white that we talked about, that is the 10-week Transform You program, which again, we are finishing out next week with Peace Week. And then I have my simple aftercare plan. So it's all coming together, all for you, all free and available. God saved my life. And if I can help somebody, you save your own life, and you find your colors, you find what your house looks like, you're choosing happy, you're building your garden, then I want to do that for you. We all deserve a chance at real happiness, and not the, I know I did this, not the fake, yeah, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm good. When anybody says those words, they're probably doing the worst, because they're not fine and they're not good. But can you get there? Absolutely. If you go and watch any of my videos, One that I can think of right now that is a part of the Rose Theory series, If God is Real, Why Do We Suffer? And you can see the challenges is that I faced. I faced all that, and then I had my spiritual awakening. But it took until I was 50 years old to really transform. And it doesn't mean, like I said, when you're in transformational spiritual awakening, that these things don't pop up, these scars that are deep-seated issues that you got as a kid, they are still there. But you are better able to deal with them, because without the glasses on, something that you saw a year ago, you see with totally different eyes, with healed eyes. It's the same picture, but you're different. I'll give you one instance where I had somebody very close to me, and we were together, and I noticed that like something wasn't happening within the conversations that we were going through. And I recognized that we're at two separate levels of our healing process. And she is exactly who she is meant to be, and I am who I am. So we have to have this level of acceptance at where everybody's at in their own healing process. Even though we are changing, it doesn't mean everybody else is changing with us. And somebody that, you might see it takes 6 months for them to transform. Some might take a lifetime. But here is my thing. It took me till I was 50. My mom, bless her heart, died miserable, and she was 77 years old. So I have 27 more years than she did to make the best out of my life. And I hope that with me doing my own spiritual awakening and healing, that I can influence my kids on their own healing journey, but they are also in charge of themselves. Everybody around you is in charge of themselves. Even because you are seeing color now and you are starting to transform, doesn't automatically mean everybody around you is going to. And that's the beautiful thing about a real spiritual awakening, is that you start to see that you had those glasses on before. You were wearing that gray jacket. We all started this process, so the people that are maybe just starting or haven't started, you can have more sympathy because you were there once too. And it's okay, because we're all came down to earth, put our little spirits in these bodies, and we're all under the journey for ourselves. I hope this was helpful to you. Again, if you do want to do this process, I have the 10-week Transform You program to start healing your mind and getting to your spirit. Once you are done with that, you can go to the 7 levels of being human, taking each level. That was probably teaching that taught me how much farther I had to go, how much more work I had to do, and to get up to there where you are at source level. And that just means you go from a human conscious to a source conscious. Your spirit is the only one speaking to you. Instead of your mind telling you, that lizard brain telling you everything, now it's your spirit telling you. If anyone has any questions, please leave them in the comments. I can certainly answer anything. That might even, if you have another question that you want me to answer, that might be a future Rose Theory series. Welcome to Jennifer Rose. I hope you enjoy everything that I give to you. Again, this is for your self-discovery. This is for your journey. My job to bring this out is just to give you your own curiosity and find your own truth. We're all humans, and we are all doing it in our own way. I hope you get a chance to look at my own spiritual experience that I just finished out, which is the Myth, Magic, and Mayhem. I take you on a road trip with me to give you a glimpse into that actual spiritual experience that I had. Take care, everybody. Blessings to all who see this.